This is my review of the Megadeth album Peace Sells But Who's Buying. It was released in 1986 and produced by Dave Mustaine and Randy Burns. So this would have been, I think, the second Megadeth studio album that I got after United Abominations, which was like the new album out when I was getting into them. I don't really specifically remember like anything about getting this album. I couldn't say where I got it. I think I got it at Walmart, but I couldn't really say where. I know it would have been sometime around 2009 because I remember listening to it a lot while I was playing Call of Duty. So other than that, I can't really remember a whole lot about getting it. It's definitely one of my most listened to Megadeth albums, especially of like their earlier albums. This is usually my go-to. That said, like I had never really like taken it. Well, I'd taken out the booklet and like kind of glanced at it, but I had never really paid a lot of attention to the lyrics. And I'd never paid a lot of attention to like the structures of the songs and stuff. I'd really always just kind of listened to it and kind of gotten like lost in the instrumental aspect of it. But like looking at it today, the lyrics and stuff, it kind of, a few things about it stood out. One, it kind of reminds me of the first album, and some of the song structures are kind of different. There's a lot of like all the lyrical part being kind of pushed towards the front of the song, I feel like, and then going into like solo sections and stuff, and then kind of ending with just a little bit of lyrics. So not like your typical like, I don't know, like pop song structures here, kind of just like different stuff. And it seems a lot more like built around the instrumental aspect than it does on, you know, anything lyrical or like any kind of vocal hooks or anything like that. So I think that's why I've always kind of, it's not that like I don't know, the songs, like I really like them, but if I look at the titles of them and try to like really recall anything from them like lyrically, some of them I have trouble with that. So I kind of think that's why. This album I think is a pretty big improvement over the first album, especially in terms of like the way it sounds and stuff. That's it, like I said before, I do enjoy the first album like it quite a bit, but this one just, I don't know, it's kind of like they took a step to a different level, I think, on this one. The album opens with Wake Up Dead, which has a really cool riff in it. I really like the drums. I like all the solos. Like I was saying, it's kind of one of those weird songs where all the lyrics and stuff are kind of like slammed towards the front of it, and then it kind of goes into solos, and then they kind of just say like Wake Up Dead towards the end. But I think it's a strong opening track. I've always liked it a lot. The second track, The Conjuring, has some weird like occult lyrics, and it's weird because like I always think of this album as a more political album, and I think that's because the title track and like the album cover and stuff. But really, like a lot of the songs have to deal with like the occult stuff, so I guess Dave was like into that at the time. It has a cool guitar intro in it. I like all the guitars throughout the whole song. There's this weird effect on Dave's voice that I kind of like a lot. So this has always been one of my favorite tracks on the album. Kind of just stands out. The third track, Peace Sells, is the one I knew the most like going into the album because it was on the greatest hits. And I think it's probably still my favorite song on the album. I think it's, like, in terms of the way it's structured and stuff, is one of the more, like, traditional songs on the album, which is probably why it's, like, the hit. All the instrumental stuff on it's great. Really catchy song, especially, like, this, I don't know, this album just doesn't have a lot of songs that really, like, jump into my head, like, hooks-wise, but this one does. And I really like the lyrics on it. Some of my favorite Dave lyrics, especially the "What do you mean I'm not kind? Just not your kind" one. I've always liked. So that's probably my favorite track on the album. I know it's an easy one to pick, but yeah, what can you do? Fourth track, Devil's Island, has a really cool riff. I like the drums a lot. Another interesting lyric on this one. I think it's about like some French colony or something. I worked with a guy who thought that they were saying Devil's Honor on it, and I was like, oh, the title's Devil's Island, and then he was like, oh, okay, which kind of brings me to like another point. When I was like reading the lyrics of this today while I was listening to it, like it just kind of struck me how much like I can't tell what he's saying throughout most of the songs. Like, not that I think the vocals are bad or anything, but there's really some like, I don't know, I guess kind of like complicated or more like intricate lyrics on here, and he's just like, the way they're sung like so fast, it's like really hard to tell what he's saying on some of this stuff. The fifth track, Good Morning / Black Friday, I guess it's kind of like two tracks put together. In the Good Morning section, you have some really cool sounding guitar stuff that kind of, it almost sounds like, I don't want to say like happy, but almost like lighter at first. And then it kind of gets darker and like heavier as it goes along. And then it transitions into the Black Friday part where it gets really dark and heavy sounding. And the song, like lyrically, is really dark, about like hammers and hitting stuff with hammers. Not really going to go into what it's about, but pretty dark lyric. But I like the guitars a lot. Really like the drums, so that one's pretty cool. The sixth track, Bad Omen. Cool, creepy sounding intro in it, and it kind of fits with the creepy lyrics, more of the occult kind of stuff. Almost like chaotic sounding this song is, but like in a good way. And I think the bass and drums in it are really cool. Seventh track, I Ain't Superstitious, is a Willie Dixon cover, and I've heard a lot of people complain about this one. I think that like as far as their covers goes, it's much better than These Boots from the first album. Really, I've never had a problem with it. I like the guitar a lot. Like I think all the soloing stuff's pretty cool. The drums are really cool on it. I think Dave's vocal's pretty good. So I've never had a problem with I Ain't Superstitious. I always have kind of liked it. And then the eighth and final track, My Last Words. Another cool intro on it. Some really cool instrumental stuff throughout it. I really like the solos. Drums and bass on it are good. So I think they end with a really strong closer. Megadeth, Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? One of my favorite Megadeth albums. I think, like I said, like the second one I listened to of theirs. I don't know if it's the easiest one of their albums to get into because of all the stuff I said. It really doesn't have like the most catchy songs on it. It seems like it's more kind of about the band's like instrumental prowess than anything else. But it's got some really good like fast, heavy songs on it. So if you're into that sort of thing, then you'll probably like this. Yeah, great album, and I highly recommend it.